Hi everybody, it's Dylan with DS vs. Dyslexia. It'll be our second interview with Selena, also dyslexic and also blonde. Is that a good introduction? All right, perfect. I'm here to talk about how you deal with dyslexia on a daily basis versus how I do it, and what you thought about how I've been displaying things and how I am pursuing overcoming it, and also telling, hopefully the ultimate goal is so teachers can learn how to teach us the correct way in the correct manner and be professional about it and not throw fits like they do now. So what do you do on a daily basis? What goes through your head? From what grade did you find out you were dyslexic to where you are now? Do you see any improvements? What have you done to improve your learning experience?
So I found out that I was dyslexic when I was in 6th grade, and it was pretty hard for me, especially because I was still really young and I didn't know that it was going to impact me this much in my life, especially now since of COVID and everything's now like online, because I'm more of a hands-on person and I'd rather be doing stuff instead of staring at a computer. In 6th grade, I just had a bunch of teachers that were helping me, and I was known as the kid that wasn't smart enough. And it's just changed how we work every day, and I find out that my friends are also dyslexic that I never found out about. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm dyslexic too. And I was like, well, it's just this thing, and we're just gonna have to work through it together. And we're pushing through it. I'm pushing through it. It's harder for me now because of COVID and because I'm sitting at home, sitting in my room, sitting on my couch, watching my teacher through a screen who's really sitting in school, but they just don't want us in school. And it's harder for us, but I've been fighting through it, and seeing that you're impacting everyone else, I figured that it's maybe good to help.
You said it was hard for you to come out and admit you were dyslexic or open up because you were the stupid kid, and I remember growing up being the stupid kid. What made you agree to an interview that you know is going to be posted on social media?
I figured that it was time to express my feelings and let other people know that they're not in this by themselves. Like, my best friend is dyslexic and I never knew about it. You're dyslexic. I never knew about that until a few days ago, and I balled it up inside and figured that I'm not alone in this fight, and that there's other people that are also fighting the same battles, and they also should know that there's other people that are in their same footsteps that are fighting the same battle with them, and that they're not alone. And it's good to know that there's people out there that are in the same problem with you, and they're not scared to share their stories. Like, I was always scared to share my story of being dyslexic until I found out that I was sitting in class with you and you were doing all you could for a wrestling team, and now you're coming home from a big working company and having another company and trying to inspire kids my age, younger, or kids that are even adults, or anyone that is dyslexic that wants some support.
And when you, if you ever come across other people who are dyslexic, what would you do? What would you tell a dyslexic kid who just found out, and they're like, oh, I have a secret, I want to tell you something, you can't tell anybody? What would you share with them?
I personally would probably share my story about it too, because I was scared to share my story of being dyslexic because I thought that I would be judged. But really, they're just judging just to judge, and I would try to help that person through the same problems, because I might have the same problems as them, but their problems might be slightly different. But it's always nice to know that there's someone there that will help you through your problems if you're dyslexic, or if they just need to talk and they just want to like rant, because I was always scared to talk to like an adult about being dyslexic. It's easier to talk to a best friend or someone that's kind of going through the same problem as you, just to talk to them.
Yeah, and what are you going to do after the interview in regards to your sake of learning and friends, and now you know more people in your inner circle are dyslexic? What are you going to do?
I'm going to start to spread the word about me being dyslexic and me having these quote-unquote problems in my life that I was scared to talk about. I've never expressed myself this much before, I've never told anyone that I was dyslexic until recently, and it's honestly changed who I am now, because now that I know that people that are in my close circle are dyslexic, they might be like, oh, maybe I could talk to her, or they might try to follow in my footsteps.
For these meetings, I'm not charging anybody to text me. I'm not charging anybody for an interview. It's just basically to get the word out and let everybody know they're not alone. And it's, well, whatever you do with anything, whatever you make of it, it's what's going to be. And in my vision, it's not a disability, it's a power. Why hide it? Why not just power through and become stronger throughout the whole experience? And to go over to when us kids who have IEPs, yes, we are looked at as the stupid kids, and it's completely incorrect. People judge everybody all the time, but my belief on judgment is it doesn't make sense, because how can I judge you for not being normal, but how about your definition of normal is completely different from mine, and mine's different from the person next to me? Then how can I judge you if it doesn't match up? But why, when we stay after to learn, we look stupid, and the other kids who stay after to get that 100 instead of a 95, they don't? It doesn't make sense to me. There is no difference. You're both working hard. Actually, the person with dyslexia is going to work double as hard to get that 65.
Yeah, definitely. And I have that same feeling, because when I told my friends that I had an IEP, they were like, oh, what is an IEP? And it's hard to explain what an IEP is, because they're like, oh, it's like something to help like stupidity. And I go, no, it's extra support, because you can explain something to me and I might need it re-explained to me a couple of times, because it doesn't process through my head as quickly as it processes through your head or someone else's head. And being in a class of 5 kids compared to 25 kids is a complete difference, and it's nerve-wracking for people that have IEPs or that are dyslexic, because they don't like being in larger groups. I know for me, I personally don't like being in a class that has 35 kids. I would prefer to be in a class that has 10 or 15 kids, because you will always have that one-on-one with a teacher. Even if there's 10 kids, that teacher tries their best to help every single student that is struggling, because if I'm struggling and you're struggling with the same thing, they might be able to explain both of it, and then I might not feel as dumb that I'm struggling on a simple math equation compared to an algebra equation. So kids think, oh, you're dyslexic, I'm gonna look at you different, I'm gonna just think of you as a different person because there's something mentally wrong with you, but that's what affects us.
My whole thought on that, sorry to cut you off. My whole thought on is us being different is weird. But how's it weird if everybody else is different? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's the same.
That's very
Even
true.
Twins aren't even the same. Me being one, we're polar opposites. So in regards to that, it's comical. It's funny.
It's funny to hear people think that we are different because we are diagnosed with an illness, and they think that we're different than them. Well, they're correct. We are different than them. Just because we're diagnosed with some sort of illness doesn't really mean that we're completely different. Everyone's different. I'm different than you. You're different than your parents. Different can mean a whole bunch of different words for a single person.
Well, that was great, Jimmy. Okay, that's been our second interview for Days with Dyslexia.
Thank you.
Of course.
What I want